All right, so we're joined from Atlanta by my friend, the founder of Wider Style, author of The Worthy Wardrobe, Morgan Wider. We thank you so much for taking some time for us today. This is our personal finance class here at Velma Jackson High School. I've got a room full here with me, and we're recording this for all of our friends in Madison County Schools, Madison Central. My good friend, Coach Robin Mercer over there, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, the Academic Options Center, and our YouTube channel. So thank you for taking some time to talk about this forgotten topic that can be so important to career development for everybody, but especially young ladies.
Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Now, we obviously want to talk about wider style and talk about the book and some of the things that you go over with your clients about the way to present themselves. But you're originally from Minnesota, went to Georgetown University there in
Right.
Washington, D.C., and you have years of experience in corporate retail with merchant. Man, my throat's killing me. Merchandising, all types of great clothing stores and clothing brands that we know, and it led you to this point of your journey now. So, just give us a little background about your education, why you chose Georgetown, and kind of how you spent time in corporate retail and how it led you to this point.
Oh, great question, Greg. I grew up always wanting to be a lawyer like my dad. So I went to Georgetown thinking I would go to law school. I was an economics major because my dad had said that a political science major really doesn't give you a lot of flexibility. I hated economics. I hated math. It was the hardest 4 years. I spent a lot of time in my double majors of English and African American studies. Senior year, I was burnt out and I said I did not want to take the LSAT. I'm going to go find a job. And as fate would have it, the headquarters of the Gap was recruiting on campus at Georgetown the 1 year that they came to recruit. And I applied and got a job in their training program, which is an incredible training program. If anyone's interested in retail, look up the Retail Management Training Program called RMP for Gap. And I flew out to San Francisco at 22, didn't know anyone, first job, and spent some years there, moved to New York and spent a couple of years at another brand, and then came to Atlanta for another brand. And 9 years ago, I made the leap to entrepreneurship. I wanted to teach women what I know about retail and style and how to dress for themselves. And it's been a roller coaster, and entrepreneurship's not for the faint of heart, but I'm thankful for my journey.
Absolutely, and you've worked with some of the top companies in the country. I know you're humble, and you've dealt with Chick-fil-A. You've been featured on all types of television programs. So really done a
Oh,
great
thank
job
you.
in building your brand, which is what you talk about. Your
I
whole
do.
platform is building your brand, being able to present yourself. And we've done the resumes, we've done the cover letters, we've talked about interview questions. And we're going to talk about how to manage the money once you get the job. But I don't think people realize the impressions that are left just by the way you look and the way you carry yourself when you walk into a room. And we found out from an HR executive in this class that they are watching you on the security camera to see how you're
Oh,
carrying.
yeah. Like security
So,
cameras, social media, everything. Yes.
yeah. So just talk about, some of the basics that these young ladies might not know, and
Mm,
that's fine. I mean, they're all 15, 16, 17 years old,
right.
but this is something they need to start practicing. First impressions are so important, and it can start you can be the best student in the world, but if you're not carrying yourself the correct way, you're not looking professional, it can cost you that position that you are qualified for.
Totally, Greg. Oh, I have so much to say on this. The first thing about first impressions is science has proven that it takes less than 7 seconds for someone to make assumptions about you, and then 60% of the assumptions they make about you comes from what you wear and how you look. So that means that 40% of what they think about you, you can't control your race, your gender identity, your height, your tone of voice. But the majority of what someone assumes about you, you can control when you get dressed each morning, which is why I want to tell your students how critical it is to be aware of how you're presenting yourselves. Hair, nails, wardrobe, dress, it's so important. And I think the biggest mistake that young people make, and I just had a wardrobe session with a law school student the other day. She's super tiny, super petite, and I see it a lot with no matter shape or size for young ladies, is that they get the fit wrong. Fit of your clothes can be the number one thing that's going to be a determining factor. If it's way too tight or way too short or showing cleavage, that is never appropriate for the word for the workplace. And I'm not saying you to look like a granny. And on the flip side, I don't want you wearing an over for the gentleman in the room or who's listening. I don't want you wearing oversized baggy suits or too big of clothes, but really being aware of your fit. And I'll be very candid. I love Fashion Nova. I buy some clothes from Fashion Nova. This is from H&M and Zara. Fashion Nova sizing is weird, right? Amazon sizing is weird. The fabric isn't the best quality. So even if you can't spend a lot of money on fancy brands, make sure that your fit is really appropriate. Not tight, not baggy, and not showing panty lines, boobs, cleavage, any of those things. If you'd wear it out to brunch or to a date, it's not probably appropriate for the office.
That is a great point. And then especially so many of these kids are going sooner than they know it are going to be face to face with hiring managers. They're going to be face to face with scholarship committees. They're going to be face to face with professors and people that are literally have the power to put them in positions. And like you said, there's so many things in life that we cannot control. And it's just, it may not be fair, it may not be right, but that's just a fact. But there are so many things you can do. And I think a lot of people, and you mentioned this in one of your videos, and I love this because you talk about some people are scared to show their personality. You can
Hmm.
show your personality and still be extremely professional. So,
Absolutely.
and you talk about it's not always about the color, it's about the silhouette.
Yeah.
So, talk about that because, I've got some incredible personalities in here that I know they're already thinking, well, I want to show this about myself. You still can. So,
Yes.
talk about some of
Yeah.
the things you can do to prepare to say, look, I'm professional, but I'm also a very lively, full of life person.
I'm going to tell you a story and then I'll give some tips. I was speaking at this huge sales conference and it was the National Sales Network. So all of these sales professionals and all these big companies, I think it was like 4,000 attendees, and these big companies had these big booths and you would walk around like similar to like a career fair, but for grown-ups, and you're passing your resume. I was just catching up with one of the HR recruiters, a woman I just met, and we're kikiing, and a young woman walked up to us and she had on a black suit, white blouse, black pump, and a red lip. And she was very professional. She was vibing with the HR lady, and the HR lady said, "Thank you so much for wearing that red lipstick because I'm gonna write on the resume red lipstick. I see 4,000 people a day. I need something to help me remember people by." And when I was interviewing, I had my mom had given me this yellow dress that I would wear. And when I got one of my jobs, I remember the VP saying, "I hired you because I thought she must be confident enough to wear a yellow dress." So finding ways to stand out for the right reason. So for example, showing that you know the rules, like wearing a suit or making sure that your fit is correct or wearing a dress of the appropriate length, and then putting your spin on it. Is it a leopard shoe? Is it a red lipstick? For the gentleman, is it cool socks or a pocket square? Those are the ways that you can still have fun. I call it authentically appropriate. How can you be true to yourself and then also still appropriate for the occasion?
Yeah, and it's amazing. And we had somebody else speaking in this class talk about if people don't even read the job description because one of the biggest employers in this area is our Nissan manufacturing plant,
Hmm.
and she would be there, and people would come in wearing flip flops to a job that's going to require them to wear
Closed toe shoes.
closed-toe shoes. So even simple things like when you're walking into a place that's a factory, read the job description and read about what's going to be required when you work there.
Totally. It's so cliche, but it truly is dress for the job that you want, not the one that you have. And so for that example, sh- acting as if you belong on that team. And I say that to say, don't just go get a boring black suit, especially if you're looking in creative industries or if you're going into a tech world. If you walk into an interview in a boring, safe black suit. When I used to hire, I would say, like, she didn't read the job description. She's not creative. She's coming in just in something she thinks I want to hear. So there's a balance of being appropriate and knowing the rules of where you're going to be and then finding a way to stand out.
And then something else you do, which I think is cool because obviously you're self-employed now. So you're not
Hmm.
going into interviews, but you're still presenting yourself. And you're
Totally.
always dressed professionally, but you're always dressed, you have some really fun outfits that you talk about in your videos and we'll share your socials at the end so they can follow. But you've done a lot to show that look, I'm going to stand out because this is my business. So even as an entrepreneur, you have to find a way to stand out, especially if you're dependent on customers to keep your business going.
even though I'm in the image business as a wardrobe stylist, any entrepreneur I tell this is important to, there's a quote from me on my website that says, I believe that an outfit has the opportunity to change your life. And I truly believe that. Like I mentioned, that yellow dress I used to wear in interviews, you never, like you guys learned in other classes, they're watching from the parking lot, social media. You have milliseconds to make a first impression and you're always on. You might see a professor or the person who has your dream job at the grocery store or at the gas station. And while you don't need to be in a suit all the time or high heels and all of those things, being aware of your image and how you dress all the time can be so, so important. You never know where your next client, opportunity, or job, or mentor, or boyfriend or girlfriend can come from.
Yeah, and now obviously this is something that I know very little about being a male, but talk a little bit. I've had people say that candidates have come in wearing way too much makeup, wearing way too much perfume. So talk
Mhm.
about that because I know a lot of our young women they like the cosmetic stuff and it's it's
The beat
cool, but
face. Yes.
yeah, but just talk about how that can be overdone because that can literally push away if it's overdone.
Yeah, there was a study done at Harvard where they had a couple of different models, and each model was taking pictures of three looks: no makeup, a kind of like 5 minute face makeup, and then a full glamorous beat. And then the executives looked at each version of those pictures and judged who would be the most professional and what their assumptions were about them. A study came back and said that the woman who had the minimal makeup, just a little bit, was deemed to be more trustworthy, believable, and competent than the barefaced and the full glam high lashes. So if you think about, it's not, if you love makeup, that is wonderful and have fun to be expressive. And again, pick your shots. Like, is it a red lip? Is it a burgundy lip? Try to be conscious of the length of your lashes. Put on a little bit to show that you made the effort. That's better than a bare face, but do not go all the way on top like you're doing for the gram or going out.
Oh, absolutely. And then if you're applying for these jobs, and you mentioned about how they see social media, you can think stuff is private. It is amazing how easy it is for them to find pictures of you. So if you've got pictures of you on Bourbon Street doing crazy stuff in a crazy outfit, that might be something you want to take, not just put on private, but delete.
Yes.
You can save it on your phone if you want to post it later, or save it somewhere else.
Or
But
put in the
taking that
group
off the
chat.
platform, yeah,
Put it in the
and
group
and
chat.
I tell you, I tell this all the time. We have a student here who's now he's in college, and I found something he posted. And I wasn't even trying to find it, and I was like, dude, seriously? He goes, how'd you find that? I said, I wasn't even trying to find it, but I saw that you posted it. So it is amazing how easy it is to be found. Because you can give a great impression, but if you're giving something else on a different platform, that can be detrimental.
Absolutely. Consistency and awareness is key.
Now, something and you talked about is proven fact. Another proven fact, and this is not an opinion. People can look it up if they don't believe me. Right now in the United States, the most educated percentage of the population is black women.
Yes.
There's no way you can argue that. People can say what they want. The numbers are there, but at the
Mhm.
same time, those negative stereotypes, those negative um, thoughts are always going to exist. And again, it's not fair, it's not right, but everybody knows it's true. And that's what I always say. So, what are some mistakes that you've seen professional, educated young black women make when they're trying to achieve what is possible, but then maybe because they didn't know, it cost them a position otherwise they would have had?
I'm gonna give you two extremes. I used to be in the first extreme where I thought that only my smarts and my work mattered. And I actually was a tomboy. I write in my book, I was scared of attention. I didn't want to ever be considered pretty. My first job in San Francisco, I was on the all men's team. So I wore baggy jeans, a white tee, and like a long cardigan. Like I didn't want to stand out anymore. Like I wanted to be treated like one of the guys. And the mistake was that I thought that my work was the only thing that matters when my brand does. It's just, or even more so important if people can see that you look like a leader. I tell women all the time, they can't hear your message if you look a mess. And a mess can be either way that you take it, right? But making sure that how you present yourself is how you present your work. And that even goes down when you're applying to colleges. It's not just your grades, but how you present yourself and package yourself in your I'm sorry, in your cover letter or your what's it called? The letter, the statement, personal statement that you're writing. All of those things of how you package the work matters. But don't go to the other extreme of focusing only on the package or going all the way overdone. I think we live in a world right now in social media that is about glamour and consumption and makeup and almost a level of inauthenticity because you're creating this wall between you and your audience. Don't go to that extreme because then you also won't be taken seriously because people are going to, unrightfully so, but assume that you aren't intelligent and you rather spend way more time shopping or doing makeup. So trying to find the balance of that.
Now, the other thing is obviously you speak for a living. You're always speaking, you're always selling. And me and you are obviously comfortable speaking to groups. Everybody's not comfortable with that, but that is something that you have got to overcome. You know, the
Totally.
soapbox that I get on all the time, and I know I can speak for all the other teachers that'll see this later. If you cannot learn to speak and communicate, you can't do business because you can look amazing. You
Yep.
can follow all the tips that you give. You can, subscribe to all your videos and do exactly what you say.
You can have
If you
straight
get in there,
A's.
if you get in there, you're not confident in your speaking, people are going to assume things about you. And
Absolutely.
look, they get so nervous and so upset that I make them get up and present. But it's not to be mean. It is to get them comfortable speaking because I have got some world beaters in here with me that are going to be incredible professionals in what all these fields that they choose, going to great universities. But the only thing that holds young people back that I see as a teacher now is their, technology's taken over and they've lost the art of the sell. They've lost the art of the communication. Even if you're never an entrepreneur, you've got to talk to customers. You've got to
Totally.
talk to your coworkers. And especially if you want to go into business for yourself, you got to learn how to sell what you have and show people that it's better. So why is it so important to match not only the style and the style and the fit, but also the confidence of speaking and communicating?
Oh my gosh. You students are so lucky to have a teacher who's aware of that. Public speaking people assume is the speeches and the preachers and all of those things, but public speaking is presenting to your classroom. When you get into college, it's talking to your professor in office hours, it's doing a group project and presenting your part. When you get to a job, it's presenting the day. Like when my first job at the Gap, I had to report this weekend sales reports every Monday to a boardroom full of people. You're always public speaking. So being aware of how you use your words is critical. If you can join a Toastmasters, which are sometimes usually free, or start one, or the debate club, those are really great ways to help you think about how do I craft an argument because you're always influencing, you're always selling. You're selling yourself, you're selling an idea, you want everybody wants buy-in. You want an A in the class, you want a girl to take you out, like all of the things. So practicing that and using and learning communication skills is critical. And I think the root of getting over that fear is knowing that you're worthy of being seen, worthy of being heard, that your opinion and your voice is unique to everyone else's in the room. And if you don't share it, the room suffers because they didn't hear your point of view. Like really getting in your head that your ideas are important. And the way that if you can communicate them in a way that people understand them, you will absolutely become a world beater. There's no question about it.
Big time. I don't have any doubt. This is one of the most talented classes I've ever had in
Mhm.
13 years of teaching. I'll put them up against anybody.
I love that.
Now, obviously, before I get to their questions, we got to talk about the book because I think the book came out 4 years ago.
5 years
The
ago
Worthy
this
Wardrobe.
week.
Oh
Yeah.
wow,
Yes,
five
I
years
just
ago this
posted on
week.
Instagram. Yep.
Yeah, and we'll give the link to all that and everything. But just talk about what's in the book and why you thought it was important to write because
Oh,
there's a lot of people that are entrepreneurs. There's several people that do what you do, but not all of them write the book to get the message across. So just talk about the inspiration of the book and the things that are in the book.
oh, I think I because it's the 5 year anniversary, I just posted this video yesterday. It's my book baby, and I'm so passionate about it. I will say when was thinking about writing a book, I was already a speaker and I thought I was just gonna write some executive presence tips and call it a day. And the professor that I was working with in a program said, "Yeah, you can write a commercial for your business or you could become a thought leader in the space." And I was like, "Oh my gosh." And I realized like I shared earlier, for most of my childhood, high school, career, college, I didn't feel confident. I didn't want attention. I loved clothes, but I didn't want eyes on me. And I was started working with clients when I launched my business that felt the same way. And so I say that the Worthy Wardrobe is my love letter to any woman who's never felt good enough or pretty enough. And I want them to know that they're truly worthy of being seen. So in the book, there's a bit about my story. There's some of my spiritual principles that I encourage women and men to believe in, like you're here for a purpose and you need to be seen. And then how can you shop? How can you clean out your closet? How can you build a wardrobe that really is an asset to your life?
I'm sorry, I had to mind my door real quick. Yeah, I agree, and it's such a cool way that I know your main focus is women, but a lot of me watching a lot of the things you do and you say can apply to anybody, and it really is such a broad skill that everybody needs to master. And again, like the speaking, being able to present yourself professionally is really what can be the difference maker. Because I
Thank
always
you.
say a lot of kids can have good grades. Not every kid can go in there and stand out. So it really is so important as a skill to learn. Well, I do have some questions, and
Let's
I
hear
like this.
them. I'm excited.
This first one is Zykeria Chambers. She's in 10th grade,
Okay.
and she asked, "Where do you get your clothes from, and what was it that made you first love fashion?"
Oh, great question, Zakaria. I'm gonna answer the second question first. I got my love of clothes from my mom. Uh, My childhood was spent every weekend in TJ Maxx's and Marshalls. She is a bargain shopper. And to this day, most of this wardrobe that you see behind me is from either TJ Maxx, Zara, The Gap, Old Navy. Those are some of my favorite places to shop. Yes, I have some designer fancy stuff back here, but going back to my first point, great style can be at any price point if you nail the fit and you feel confident in it.
Absolutely, and it's not about spending a bunch of money. It's about doing the research to make yourself look good.
Exactly.
Um, I like this one. This is Azaya Ray. She's in 11th grade, member of our band, member of our JROTC and our student council. Wants to go to Mississippi State and wants to
Hey.
get into mental health counseling. But she asked, "How would you describe your fashion style, and do you think that it shows your personality?"
So it's interesting. I have created a index, a profile system that helps people determine their personal brand, and I am my own diagnosed rock star. I love an edge. I love leopard. I love red. I love provoking people and making them think about things differently. So you'll usually see me in some way, shape, or form in some kind of leopard. Jewelry is a thing of mine. I love edgy pieces. That's my personal brand, and that's what brings me joy.
That's awesome. I like this one. This is Jasmine McBride. She's in 10th grade, wants to go to Georgia State University in Atlanta. Also wants to get into the healthcare field. And she is so particular, and has such great attention to detail. And she asked, "What are the biggest do's and don'ts that I should think about if I want to look presentable in a job interview?"
Oh, okay. Jasmine, do get a great pantsuit that fits you. Don't make it black, make it navy or a dark green or a dark burgundy, like an interesting color, not black. Do get dresses or skirts to wear with blouses. Don't let that skirt or dress be too short. Like I want it at your knee or like below. Um, do invest in a pair of high heels that are like a pointed toe pump that is doesn't have to be black. It could be leopard, it could be nude. Invest in one good pair that you can walk in. Do not let it be a stripper inspired shoe, an open toe sandal. Y'all know what I'm talking about. This super chunky platform with the block heel. Invest in a good pair of shoes that you can walk in and be polished in, and that still looks trendy but not scandalous.
Big time. I never thought about that. I had the one young man, Elijah Dawson. He's in 10th grade, and he asked, "How did you get to where you are today as a business owner, knowing you faced obstacles as a black woman?"
Oh gosh, Elijah. This is probably a cliche answer, but my faith. That's the reason I left corporate America was I knew that there had to be more for me. I had a mission on my life that I wanted to help people know that they're worthy of being seen. entrepreneurship is, I say, like the ultimate faith walk because you don't know where your survival, where the checks they're going to come to pay the rent or pay for your groceries. So being intentional about my spiritual practice and being really self-aware of my strengths and weaknesses. Um, I know that I'm not great at email. I know that I am great at ideation, but not always finishing a task. So putting structure and discipline and support in place to help me execute those things, is really, really important. I am blessed that in Atlanta, I am in a city where my color doesn't matter as much as other places. I grew up in Minnesota, but I know that a black woman talking about authenticity and image and wardrobe can be a little cliche. So how can I make sure that I put my own spin on it? And I'm always sometimes proving myself in the way that this topic is important and it's not just frilly or frivolous or just talking about clothes.
Big time. I got one more. This is Kalia Bullock. She's in 10th grade. And this is interesting because she's wearing her hair natural, just like you have yours. She's got it
Yes.
locked. Yeah, she's
Ooh.
rocking the locks. And she asked, I'm tall and my hair is locked. What would be the best tips for that?
Own it. I'm 5'10", so I get it. I talk all the time about how I want women, whatever race you are, to feel confident in whatever hairstyle you have, as long as you feel good in it and it's well kept. That does not mean you need to put a relaxer in. That does not mean you need to put a straight weave in. If you like that, great, but that doesn't mean that you need to. For your dreadlocks, just make sure that they are impeccably kept because we know that dreadlocks have assumptions with them, and judgment. But I never want you to feel like you have to cut your dreads or straighten your hair to be in an environment. If you feel that way, then that's not the place for you. For some
Absolutely.
people, for some people, hair isn't as important. For me, it's a non-negotiable, and I worked in creative spaces where it wasn't a thing. But if you if that, and I'm assuming your commitment to your dreadlocks means that they mean something to you, hold true to that. And I probably don't have time, but there's a beautiful story I have. I'll do maybe a little video and I'll send it to you guys about a lawyer who was insistent on keeping her dreads and the impact that that had on future generations. So own your height. Don't feel like you have to wear flats all the time, and just keep your dreads looking great. Like any hairstyle, keep your hair, take care of your hair.
Yeah, I wear my hair natural too. So
Thank you,
it's
Greg.
been
We could tell.
All right. Well, we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for taking
This
some
is
time
so
for us. But a
fun.
few things before we go. Widerstyle.com is where is your website. You got your book there, your podcast is on there, all your social media information is on there. I think you're a great follow. I say all the time, I like following the celebrities and the singers and the athletes, but find people like yourself that can pour positive things into you. So all of your information is on there, and I did get the website correct, right?
Yep,
Widerstyle.com.
Wider Style or morganwider.com, and you can find all that information there.
All right, the last thing before we go, and again, we just thank you so much for this amazing information you've given us. But as these kids are getting ready to matriculate through high school into their next step, no matter what it is, because we support all their decisions as long as they're making the best one for them. Why is this something as they move along that they cannot overlook, even though it may seem
Mhm.
small?
Well, first, I want to thank you for having me, and Greg, I think that kudos to you for being so committed to showing your students the outside world. Um, I think this is, and I thank for this opportunity to get to talk to you about these things that I'm so passionate about. And I will just leave you with why it's so important is because you're worthy. You're worthy of the attention. You're worthy of the jobs and the college admissions that you want. And I don't want something like a too tight dress to get in your way of the dreams that you want to have for your life. I don't want
Wow.
a baggy suit to get in the way of that. Like your teacher believes in you so, so, so much. And the world might probably be telling you that you can't do things or you don't belong in spaces, but you dressing and showing the world that you are worthy of being there will ultimately prove the point that you are.
I love it. Well, again, we just thank you so much for fitting this in your busy schedule. Next time I come to Atlanta, we got to hang out because I'm a big Hawks fan.
Yes, please. And
Again,
any of the students coming to check out colleges, let me know.
oh, absolutely. Because, like I said, one set got our heart set on Georgia State. So,
Yeah.
again, Morgan Wider, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, we thank you so much for joining us today.
Bye.
I talk to you soon, buddy.